Okay, so we're now recording. So welcome to the UNCG Library's presentation by Leah Leininger on search tools for citation, tracing, and tracking. And Leah, I am going to mute and turn my camera off, but I will be monitoring chat for you and see you soon.
All right, thank you so much, Sam, for putting this together, and to everybody for joining me, including if you're joining later. So this is me. I'm the liaison librarian for a couple of the health sciences areas here at UNCG. I love hiking. This is a picture of a camellia. I'm so excited that we're starting to see flowers bloom. And these slides are online. A little bit earlier, I put the link into chat, but there's a Go link if you want to type it in your address bar, or you can take a picture of it with your phone. So there are a lot of terms that we use to talk about searching for citations. My goal here is not to establish some definition of all sorts of things that we could be doing, but just to point out, you might have heard citation searching, citation chaining, citation mining, or mining references. A lot of times terms like this are used to describe using a particular source, a publication, to find similar publications. So maybe it's going forward in time to later citing sources, or maybe it's going back, looking at those references lists. Often this is part of a literature review or an evidence synthesis. There are other terms that are used, citation tracing and citation tracking. Often these are used to refer to counting citations to a source, or some way to examine the impact of a source. It's just a slightly different goal. And every now and then, yeah, people do use these terms to refer to just finding a bunch of sources. What I'm going to focus on in this presentation is looking for sources that cite back to a specific publication. So first thing first, why do we seek citations back to a publication? I am so pleased that we actually have a live studio audience today, and I think we probably have a pretty varied group of participants. So if you could do me a favor and follow the URL, or maybe Sam could repeat the Padlet URL that I put into the chat earlier.
Yep, it's in the chat.
Great. Yay. So I'm just wondering what we think about why do we want to seek citations back to a publication. This is a Padlet. You just click into the page to add a response, or you can use the plus button, and it's anonymous. I have a feeling we'll see a variety of opinions here. Yeah, if you want to read more about a topic. So seeing maybe who has cited back to that publication, what has come out of that publication, find the original reference, the original concept, good idea. To give appropriate credit to a publication, absolutely. I like this, understand where the impacts lie. That's true. There are a lot of ways to think about the impact the publication might have. One of them is looking at how often it's received traditional citations, where those citations have happened. Review work, systematic or scoping review. Absolutely. You want to seek citations back to a publication if you're trying to do working on a literature review, and especially some of those high-level evidence syntheses. There's one that I haven't seen on here yet that I thought somebody might still be typing or might have in the back of their mind, and that could be the reason behind finding the impact of a publication, or a reason for that might be if it's your publication and you want to make a case for your work, your research, and where it's been adopted. So that kind of comes under this understand where the impacts lie, but that's also a good reason. And there are a lot of tools that will let you do these kinds of things. I'm going to show, I'm going to have slides for a couple of them. I'll show maybe one or maybe two. What I'm going to go through is an example source. So the kind of sort of thought experiment that I'm doing is seeking as many sources as possible that cite back to this specific article. It was written by Potter and Brow in 2004. It's been around a while, so it's had time to garner lots of traditional citations. And I'm just going to click on this to open the publisher page so that I have it open. And that'll take a minute to load. So I'm going to click back to my slides. And yes, so thinking about where can I search for citations back to this article? Where might I want to? What kinds of tools exist out there? So we're probably all quite familiar with Google Scholar. It, of course, will post a lot of publications. It will link between publications that cite each other. Often, if you think about places to go to find citations back to a publication, this number, the cited by number, will be higher in Google Scholar than you'll see it in other systems. And that may or may not turn out to be true. If you click on cited by and you were to try to gather the information for all those sources, there may or may not be actually 643, for instance, in this case, but Google Scholar tends to deliver high citation counts. I'll put it that way. It does have a free account that you use for other things. That's totally optional if you're doing the kind of activity I'm doing. A lot of times I like to take a record or keep a record of some of the citing sources if I'm looking at something like this. So if you use Zotero, you can adjust Google Scholar so that it will show at least 20 results per page, and that's fine. I think if you're looking at a publication that doesn't have quite so many citations, I think this is a lot of clicking if you're looking at something like this. I'm not going to demonstrate this just because a lot of us have seen it before. Another tool that I tend to like a lot is called Dimensions. It links publications and data sets. Some people call it Dimensions AI. It is an AI-based tool. A free account is required even just to get into it, but it does pull openly available data from a lot of different places, such as Crossref, PubMed, Europe PMC, Archive, and specific publishers. It does have nicer output options, I think, than Google Scholar. So when I look at just like an article result from Dimensions, if I've looked up a specific article, the citation count, which Dimensions will give based on the data that it has pulled, yeah, it's lower for this publication than what I see in Google Scholar, but also the output so much nicer. It's I can create an email link for CSV, RIS, and it even has another option too. The visualizations and facets in the system are pretty nice as well. I'm going to go forward just a little bit more. And has anybody ever heard of or used OpenAlex Web before? I'm going to pause because I have not used this until very recently, and I was pretty excited to start exploring it. I'm not hearing anything, so I'm going to guess that maybe I've got some people on the call who haven't looked at this system yet. So it is a catalog that links publications, and it does pull publication data and put together citations from ORCID, ROAR, and other sources as well. You can create a free account, but that's optional, and it also has easy download options. I am just going to follow this link. I'm going to show it really quick. So OpenAlex Web, as I was saying, pulls information about publications from a lot of different places. I listed a few of them, and there are even more under here. It disambiguates and connects sources that cite each other, and the way that we can search it is to use the web interface. So I'm going to open OpenAlex Web. Oop. So fun to have these webinar controls get in the way. This is going to take me just a minute. Okay. Whew. All right. So the Oxford University Press or Oxford Academic page for this article has some of these symbols. It also has publication information and a DOI. I'm just going to grab the article title and drop it into OpenAlex. And it finds the work that I need. By the way, you can also do topic searching here. And it gives a little summary page for this one match that I clicked into. And underneath the publication information, I can see that OpenAlex says it knows about 404 later citations to this work. So I'm going to click on that number, and kind of similar to what you probably see in Google Scholar, when you click through, there's a big list of later citing publications. But also, one of the things I like about OpenAlex is we get some of these filters over here that represent the content set. So it thought that it had 404 results that cite the publication that interests me. It actually was able to pull up information for 395 of them. That's not critical. It's actually fairly common with some of these systems. So if I wanted to just look at these like, wow, look at all of these amazing citations to the article of interest, I can click on the sort. I can see that the default sort is by citation count. So we have a slightly older article showing up, one that itself has been cited fairly regularly is coming up to the top. But I could switch it to year or title or something else if I wanted to. Here is where the export option is. So again, if I'm interested in getting just a big list of publications that are citing back to Potter and Brow, I could get CSV or RIS, for instance, if I wanted to use that Zotero Citation Manager. And yes, I can expand the number of results. And again, I definitely want to get back to telling y'all about other tools, but I think it's very exciting that OpenAlex can pull out things like topics, types from this list, even institutional affiliation from these. So very, very cool. And I will pause for questions at the end, but also if anybody has any questions about open access or OpenAlex Web, feel free to put them in. That's, for me, the tool that's excited me the most when I was preparing for this presentation. So the next category of tools, and I'll just flip through these fairly quickly, it's library databases. So if you are already in a library database that you like to search for articles and publications on your topic, guess what? Some of them do include some of this citation data. If you're undertaking a big project to find all later citations back to a specific publication, I'm not sure if it's worth your effort to come into, individual database by database to try to gather this. But if you are a JSTOR user, when you click into the titles of results in JSTOR to look at kind of the summary, it does list citations that JSTOR knows about. No great options for export, but if you're already using this database, check it out. Don't just click on PDF and grab the PDF. Actually open the JSTOR description of an item by clicking on the title, and you'll be able to see cited by. Kind of similar if you're a PubMed user. When you click into the title of a result in PubMed, if it knows about citations back to that article, the description page will list all of the citing sources that it knows about. And for this article, it knows about 126, which is pretty good. And if I were to click through, I would be able to save those citing results as RIS. So last sort of system that I will mention, or on purpose that I plan to mention, is Europe PMC. This is a free guide to life sciences literature. It does partner with PubMed Central. So it gets a big part of the content in Europe PMC are results, or the PubMed Central, the free kind of open access, I shouldn't say free, the open access repository from the NIH. That content is also in Europe PMC, and it does have records from PubMed, which means some of that indexing, if you're a big fan of those recommended search terms for different populations, health states, that sort of thing. That information is in Europe PMC, along with a lot of other content. And it does have an easy export as well. So this is just a free online search system that tends to be more heavily used, obviously, in Europe, but it has a lot of content in it. So I'm just going to pause once again and ask the group, no poll this time, what kind of search tools do you like for finding citations? And I'm going to unshare my screen for just a moment, but I can come back and share again to demonstrate any of the search systems if y'all want to see any of them. And I'm seeing some chats. No, this is new to me, never heard of it. So some of these systems I think are kind of exciting. So I'm glad that I'm introducing some of them to you. Okay, I'm seeing somebody say I've been using Google Scholar. OpenAlex would be great. I agree. At this point, I'm thinking of OpenAlex as a really nice free alternative to Scopus or Web of Science, honestly. I feel it provides more features than Google Scholar, even though the citation counts that I've seen haven't been quite as high. Okay, I'm seeing another comment. I tend to just do, Boolean searches through databases themselves. Absolutely. Especially if I'm doing a topic search, the most direct way is really just to do some keyword searching or subject searching, whichever. That is a very efficient way to find information on a topic. I'm seeing another vote for, well, Google Scholar has been my go-to. Oh, okay, so somebody does connected papers. That's interesting. I haven't used connected papers. I've heard good things about it. Is there anything that you'd want to type or say about connected papers while we're on this part of the presentation?
Yeah, I can so it gives a really nice visualization when you're trying to like get an idea of just how many papers are interconnected on a topic, especially because if you put in your title just like we did for OpenAlex, it pulls very similar information. It just creates more of like a visual web map that you can trace where things have linked. So you'll often see a lot of times where, okay, you searched one article, but then all of the other articles also cite this other paper, which I think has helped me kind of find additional important topics and things like that. I'm more visual than just a list of articles, so that's been helpful.
Yeah, and if you like that, if you're the more visual sort of graphic and you like that sort of layout, I have seen a different tool that does that kind of thing. It's called Research Rabbit. And it's another one of those kind of AI-based tools. It's another one that unfortunately I think it requires a free account, but you put in a seed paper, a seed article, just title or DOI, and then it will give you sort of visual maps of later citations and similar publications, and you can do all sorts of, it creates all kinds of great connections. So I'm glad to hear good things about connected papers. I think I'm going to have to explore that. So we've got about 8 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions, or do they want me to demonstrate one of these other systems, like, I don't know, Europe PMC or Dimensions AI, or?
I haven't seen Dimensions AI in a while, so that might be nice.
All right.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. Okay, so yes, I already logged into Dimensions AI because I wanted to skip that step. I am going to grab, I could do either the DOI or the article title. And again, Dimensions AI, totally free. It just requires a free login. And the search box is at the top. You can do either a topic search, or in this case, I'm looking for specific publications. So I'll say title and abstract. And it does have a lot of content sets, like I was saying. If you want to just eyeball some of the content sets that it has, over on this side where it has filters, if you open the journal list, it's a little counterintuitive, but it will actually tell you. So we're pulling from DOAJ, we're pulling from PubMed, we're pulling from, it'll just give you a little roundup of some of the sources. And you'll see that the free access to Dimensions is going to let me see publications. It does link to other types of output that subscription users can get to. And it found kind of a summary of the article, which is great.
Hey, Leah, yeah, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, no!
Sorry.
No! Thank you for stopping me. You just saw my very enthusiastic face, basically. Okay, I am going to share my screen. And I hope. Okay, are y'all seeing a Dimensions AI screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So this is Dimensions AI. I'm already logged in. Clicking at the top is where you put in a search, whether it's a topic or a title or a DOI. And I just paste something in and I hit enter. And over on the side where the filters are, I opened this journal list to look at some of the sources that it's pulling from. And here's the summary of the article that I want. So it has a citation count, a citation count for the article that I want. And it's finding 339 citations, which is not bad. It also, interestingly, has a little altmetric summary. So this system plugs into the, I would say, freemium altmetric.com product, which that system, if you've ever heard of it, monitors non-traditional citations. So mentions of maybe research articles and other publications in social media, news outlets, blogs, that sort of thing. And Dimensions integrates with it, and it will give a link and give a summary here. So I'm going to, instead of clicking into citations, I am going to just click super quick into the title to see Dimensions summary of this article, because that's where we're going to be headed anyway. So I get lots of options. I scroll down the middle, I can see abstract. On this side, there's just a little summary for altmetrics and for the information that Dimensions itself has. Publication references, so this is the references list. If I scroll down a little more, it says publication citations. So later sources that Dimensions knows about that cite back to this. And I can click Show All. And that's going to take me back out into just a big publication or a Dimensions window. And this time it's showing me just the citations that it knows about back to my Potter and Brow article. And the default sort is by publication date. So I can see people are still citing this thing. But I could change that to a bunch of different metrics, including traditional citations or altmetric attention score. Like if one of these publications went viral for some reason and got a whole bunch of altmetric mentions or something, it would that would boost it up in this list. So that's a quick look at how to use dimensions to do this kind of activity. I like it okay for actual topic searching, which is kind of a different thing. Sometimes I'll come into dimensions and just do a little topic search here. The relevance is not always great, but then again, when you think about what Google Scholar was like in the first 1 or 2 years when it started out, the relevance wasn't always great then too. So I definitely like it for this kind of activity. If I want to export results, let me click away from this. There's a little save export command next to the search box. And I'll just click on export and it will export up to 500 items at a time. And I can choose the full record in CSV, or I can choose to export something for a citation manager in like BibTeX or RIS. And it also does bibliometric mapping if somebody's super into that and they want to use one of those tools. So that's a lot on dimensions. I'm going to stop sharing again. Does anybody have other questions or maybe comments that they'd like to make?
You got a comment that this was helpful from Anna. Sorry, I was creating my Dimensions AI account, which I was like, God, I thought I had done this, but that's how long, I guess, since I've looked at Dimensions AI.
Yeah.
So let me get the assessment for this. This is actually the last session of the what is it, of the year, of the semester. So thank you all for coming. I have this open, but I'm trying to figure, okay. Collect responses, copy link. Okay, here's the assessment form. So Alan did ask, is there any way you can assess the quality of the article citations exported?
That's such a good question. What do you mean by quality of the articles? One quick answer, which is probably not what you were getting at, is the fact that sometimes these systems can only find and export information that they have access to. For instance, if you're trying to do a big project to find all the citations back to a publication, you might find many, many results, and some of them don't have abstracts, which is a bummer. You know, that things like that happen in terms of amount of data.
Yeah, maybe I can try to elaborate. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but I have a 5-week-old crying in the background, so hopefully I can you can hear me talking. But I was wondering, so let's say for Google Scholar, where I do the cited by function, I mean Google Scholar in general just has a lot of the maybe predatory journal articles or articles that are not very high quality. So I'm just kind of curious, you know, when we export the list from Dimensions or from OpenAlex, you know, would there be a way for us to know, okay, those are actually legitimate articles, or whether there any way to sort it or filter it, you know, kind of things along those lines?
That's a big question and an important one. So I honestly don't know of a way for a quick filter. I know that there are a lot of predatory journals out there. There are also a lot of pay-to-play journals, which I don't want to say that is an increasing danger now that we have a robust open access movement. I don't want to conflate the two things, but I definitely think that peer review is still important in terms of sort of a quality control process. And I know there are different models of peer review out there. I do not think that the sources that I have been looking at provide a way to limit by type of peer review, like open, like double blind, open peer review, that sort of thing. I could be wrong about Open Alex. I've just started exploring that. But in my mind, that's one thing. When I hear quality of articles or quality of citations, I think, has there been kind of an additional layer of peer review? Even though I know that doesn't catch everything, I feel like that's key. I don't know if any other librarians in the room or if any of the other researchers have thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and that, beyond certain filters, there's only so much we can do. In my experience, a lot of these are indexing, peer-reviewed articles. That's how they kind of collect the data. Experience finding a lot on these kind of things, of like a predatory publication or a non-peer-reviewed article. But that, I guess I don't know. That I think I agree with everything you're saying, Lydia, and that there's can only rely on so much.
Yeah,
I want to sorry, I want to jump in on that too. I also agree. I think that's a really good question. I have not used Open Alex yet, but it looked, Leo, like when you were demoing it, like the filters were pretty good with the sources that you could select from. And I think that would be one of the ways that would really set this apart from just like
Scholar.
doing a search out in Google Scholar or wherever, because you've got those indexes that are being more selective about what kind of content they are pulling in. So you're not going to get like 100%. Like I would always, be a little, use your critical thinking, use your judgment. But having those indexes, like DOAJ and others, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, so I mean, the way I always think about it in my teaching, and Anna and Leah, I don't know if you feel differently, is that Google's end game is always the highest number, right? Like they're a for-profit, company that's based on search engine optimization. Like, their algorithms are always trying to get you the highest amount. That's part of why they have probably the technology to include a peer-reviewed filter on their website, but they don't, right? Because they want to pull all of this other material to make their numbers seem higher. So that's what I always say is that Google Scholar, you do have to be more cautious, right? Because their end game is not about quality, it's about quantity. Whereas just looking at Open Alex, right, it seems like their end game is more impact research, right? Whereas Google Scholar would never lie to you and say that's their end game. So, again, without being an expert on Open Alex, and even I would throw Dimensions AI in there, since it's, like you have a login, like there's the free account, they're kind of in between maybe, but again, they have better filters, and it looks like their metrics are a little bit cleaner and more clear than Google Scholar. That's what I just tell students about Google Scholar. It's not bad. It's just that like their end game is not quality.
Yeah. And I'll say even PubMed, which is not a for-profit product, it's made freely available online.
Yep.
It doesn't have a peer-reviewed filter. So,
they have the article type filter. So
Yeah.
you could do like randomized control trial, systematic, you could, if you wanted like the highest level.
Yep.
But most of the stuff in there, I mean, they have that like book, chapter filter, but I don't see much in there on that.
yeah, that bookshelf usually doesn't give me a whole lot, but
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that question.
Yeah. Well, sorry we went a little long, Leah and everyone. This was a good conversation. So I did drop the assessment form. You will get a follow-up email in the next couple of days, maybe this afternoon, depending on my other meetings today, with the recording of this session. Since y'all were here live, you will also have access to the recording in the chat of this Teams. But I will send a follow-up email, of course, for everyone, for people who missed it, and for y'all to have in your email as well. So let me know if you have any questions. But again, thanks for a good semester of webinars. I'm happy to end on this one where I learned some new stuff. Again, I love learning things. So if y'all have any ideas for fall, this seems like a lifetime away, but I will start collecting ideas this summer. So if you have any ideas for webinars, let me know. You're welcome to email me directly, or you can put ideas in that form, the assessment form that I sent. But thanks, everyone. Have a great week. It's Tuesday. So see you all soon. Thanks again, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know if the recording is still going on, but I have to just say that was hilarious. Have a good week. It's Tuesday. I'm also wishing everybody a good week.